but it's going to provide some very nice scouting. Obviously, it's very cheap, and it is well worth it, and there's no real reason not to do something like that, especially if you suspect that your opponent will expand. And it's possible that he could expand, although at this point I don't think it's overly likely, just because Lyra would be so easily overwhelmed if he tried to expand at this point, just because of the obvious cost of expanding. And meanwhile, Lyra doing some pretty nice creeping here, has taken a fair bit of damage, but there is a fountain nearby that he can go to, and since the damage he's taken has been so sparsely spread out, it means that he will be able to peel up pretty quickly. Getting a Pipe of Insight, not brilliant. He will sell that pretty much as soon as possible. And meanwhile, Nick is using a Clarity Potion on his Mountain King. Does have his Paladin in the battle as well, and it looks like he is pulling out his level 4 Archmage just to do this creeping without it. And that's a pretty wise choice, because it's going to mean that he is going to get some pretty nice experience on the heroes that he actually wants to get experience. And this Mountain King doesn't get level 3, unfortunately, and perhaps if he pulled that Paladin back, he would have gotten pretty close, if not gotten one. But he could enough creep the fountain, but it doesn't look like that's what he's going to do. Instead, he's going to head look to the red spot that was just creeped out by Lyra. He's going to get that's been creeped out. Meanwhile, Lyra is making very good use of his time, now creeping Nick's red spot, and hopefully we'll get a slightly better item. Some pretty bad item luck actually for both sides at this point, but I think we will actually master training on Lyra's priest as well, so it looks like we probably will be seeing Inner Fire. He could have done it just for the extra mana, and but I think he'll probably be going for Inner Fire because he just doesn't suspect that Nick's going to ever go for Spellbreakers, and Lyra actually taking a lot of damage while creeping the scamp. Gets a Hood of Cunning, continues to serve the bad luck, bad item luck, and I'm surprised that Lyra actually took so much damage there on his knights while creeping this. He did have to staff one back, and he had to heal one up as well using his paladin, and that's meant that he left with not too much mana left on his paladin, only one more heal at this point, and he will now head off to the fountain just to heal up a bit. And meanwhile, another Boots of Quel'The loss for Nick. That's really bad item luck, really. You probably should sell that one. Like, I assume he sold the first one. Yeah, I think he... Oh no, sorry, he still has it on his Mountain King, actually. He really should sell this just for sort of a whole bunch of extra gold. Obviously, having a bit of extra armor is alright, and having a bit of extra attack speed is alright, but certainly it's nothing compared to sort of the effects of having an extra knight in your army or something. Obviously, he's gotten Animal War training, and I assume both sides have. Yeah, both sides. Oh no, Lyra actually hasn't got Animal War training yet, and he's actually researching it now. So a nice surround there by Nick. Did manage to pick off one knight, but now a very strong TP in here from Lyra will mean that Nick has to do a runaway. Actually not good at TP by the looks of things, and will lose one knight of his own. And actually Lyra's staying and fighting. No, Nick decides to TP out eventually, and will get away without losing any units, although he probably should have lost that priest. Bit of careless play there by Lyra means that he doesn't use his mortar teams to pick off obviously the priest, which would go down so quickly. And he has now set up his own. Nick has now set up his own expansion a bit sneakily, and he's going to have to hope that Lyra doesn't come and scout it out. Obviously, he didn't put off a scout farm or anything, but it looks like that's exactly where he's heading right now. And so he will manage to either take this down or force Lyra to take a fight that he really doesn't want to take. And looks like he is. Nick is now TPing in, and obviously the expansion actually just taking a lot of damage even during the time of the TP, just because of those 3 mortar teams, and obviously it's a fair bit of damage as well. Meanwhile, Clap being used by Lyra's Mountain King, and he is now being forced to run away, though he is at very low health. Obviously his staff is still on that Archmage just in case, but actually both Archmages do have staffs at this point. Obviously you want to keep the staff on your Archmage because it is a bit of a ranged hero, and it will stay a bit further back, although Nick's Archmage is being focused down, so he is being forced to run it out, and actually the same is going for Lyra's Archmage at this point. And it looks like Nick has managed to heal up his own Archmage and is now on the offensive. Lyra running away a bit, but with his Archmage, but it looks like he will now lose a couple units. This one mortar team is actually Lyra's mortar teams are now 1-0 upgraded, and does have that Animal War training as well finally. And no Inner Fire being used at this point has been dispelled. He probably will want to set it back up. Yeah, he's starting setting it back up. Obviously you want to put it on the knights first, and anything being focused as well. And meanwhile, Nick's Archmage now taking a lot of damage, getting healed up at 6 hit points. Wow, really close there. And being forced to continue to run away, and not really managing to get anywhere. Obviously he's in a bit of a bad position. He's just sort of wasting those knights' time, but at the same time he's taking a fair bit of damage still. And the level 3 paladin does manage to heal up Nick's Archmage, and so he is able to fight, and he has taken a fair bit of damage on all his knights. Obviously a healing fountain very close, and Nick does manage to get a surround on one of Lyra's knights, and will probably manage to take it down, although it looks like he broke the surround, but he still managed to take it down. And Lyra now with a very healthy army, actually. If he can get some good focusing in here, he can do very well. Otherwise, he probably is going to lose a fair few units in this fight. And meanwhile, Lyra's now losing, actually lost his positioning a bit, and has now lost both his mortar teams, and he's really fighting sort of without heroes here, which is really inadvisable. And Nick now taking low damage on his Archmage, being forced to run it back. That Paladin has almost enough mana for another heal, and probably will use it immediately on that Archmage. And Priest now going out from Lyra as well, so Lyra really a bit on the defensive, considering that considering how sort of that he did have to take down that expansion, and in the process he did lose a fair few units. And I think that expansion probably, expansion did pay for itself. So some nice play there by Nick. Obviously he's kept Lyra busy all game as well, and or certainly in this part of the game. And actually Nick now going to lose one priest by the looks of things. No master training for him, still only adept training, and he's actually going to lose a militia as well. Bit of careless play there, but certainly it's not the end of the world. And Nick now continuing to pump mortar teams and knights, and priest as well, actually. So he's still has enough money to be pumping units fairly consistently. And Nick now putting up a bunch of farms at where his expansion used to be, and that's really going to that's sort of a really odd play. Perhaps he just doesn't want to have them in his face. But meanwhile, he is now being forced to re-engage just to try and save his workshop. But in the meantime, just by running in, he sort of snaked in a bit too much and got in a bit of a bad position. But he did manage to get a nice positioning here off this this Archmage, which was healed once but will now go down. And that's very, very bad there for Lyra, because obviously that Archmage is really so critical to that army, just because it has the staff for one thing. Actually, by the looks of another surround here on the Nick's Archmage, and obviously the staff is on that Archmage, so it can't be staffed out. And both sides lose their Archmage in rapid succession. And now this Inner Fire is now doing a huge is now having a huge effect. It's a Mountain King, Paladin, and Knight really for both sides, with priests actually for Lyra, which is quite nice. But that Mountain King does get surrounded, does get taken down before Nick, and I mean now Nick's got his Paladin surrounded. He probably does have Divine Shield on off cooldown by now. Yeah, he does eventually pop it, and looks like he is going to manage to take down the Paladin of Lyra. So a bit of a nice 4 nice hero kills in very rapid succession, and it's just a Mountain King versus a Paladin now. And I think Nick knows that that's not a fight he wants to take, and it does decide to get out of there as soon as possible, and probably will pop a Arcane Scroll. Yeah, he buys one now, and probably will pop it quite soon. But no, actually a fight's now coming in, so he won't be able to use it. It's a bit of a shame, and the Archmages is still a while off from coming back. But in the meantime, the Mountain King for Nick has actually been bought back at the tavern. He's not going to have any mana, but his Paladin now taking a lot of damage, being forced to use a Divine Shield again. Obviously he is level 4, so he does have level 2 Divine Shield now, which is pretty nice. It's 30 seconds of invulnerability. It's actually a very long time in the course of a battle. And this and the Mountain King, Nick's Mountain King now being chased down, being forced to sort of try and get away, but he just isn't managing to really get anywhere, because obviously knights are such quick units, and Nick's Paladin has now taken a lot of damage, being past the invulnerability potion as well, because he knows that his Divine Shield's about to run out, and he's continuing to run and pops that invulnerability potion. Just I think he's worried about the Mountain King, despite not having enough mana. Maybe he was worried about a stray bash or something, because he does have that Wizard's Beat. He could catch him up eventually. And Mountain King now Nick's Mountain King now taking a lot of damage and being forced to pop a healing potion, and Nick's Paladin now being forced to run away, and Nick's Mountain King now going to go down by like I think due to a nicely placed bolt. Does go down at the last second there, and Lyra's Mountain King will now run away, although actually just looks like he's just going to stick around a bit. The Archmages are back now, and obviously Nick's just joined the battle slightly earlier, but Lyra's is coming back right in now, and will actually sap out a unit as soon as he gets back in. Very nicely played there. He is I think Lyra is a bit outnumbered here, but and actually losing one more knight there as well. But I think he will just try and escape and fight another day. Both sides are long distance mining by the actually no, not yet. Nick is long distance mining. I don't think Lyra is at this point. It's a bit of a shame really, because obviously long distance mining does get you a huge amount of gold, but it gets you a small amount, and that can make the difference. And meanwhile, Nick's Archmage is very close to level 5 now. Lyrus is a bit behind, but actually both Archmages getting surrounded here. Some very nice play here. Level 5 now for Nick's Archmage, and that gives him enough health just enough to escape by the looks of things. Although a very long distance night attack does take that Archmage down at the end, and he's going to regret getting level 5 because it's going to take him ages to get that hero back now. And so many hero kills in this game, it's just insane. And these water elementals obviously will stick around for a bit longer, but it looks like Nick's trying to get us around on them just for that free experience, and he does manage to get 1 kill in his Paladins, getting pretty close to 5 as well. But Lyra's Mountain King is already 5, and level 3 bolt is so strong, and he has enough mana for 1 bolt, and almost a second really at this point, and he does get 1 off, but not on a great positioned knight, and it looks like he will just manage to take it down. Yes, he does manage to take it down just because of a bit of careless play by Nick there, and it looks like Nick's trying to get us around here. He is now bringing in